Imagine you are hired to construct a massive new shopping mall, and you have exactly 10 months to build it from the ground up. You might think the safest plan is to hire 50 workers on day one and keep them on the payroll for the entire 10 months. But look at what happens in month one. The site is an empty dirt lot. The only work available is for a few architects and project managers drawing up blueprints. If you hired plumbers or your painters and electricians right at the start, they would just be standing around the dirt lot with nothing to do. Paying a flat number of people throughout a long project wastes money on idle hands. The physical work doesn't start all at once, so your hiring shouldn't either. Software development suffers from this exact same staffing trap. In the earliest stages of making an application, when you are analyzing requirements and figuring out what the software needs to do, you only need a few planners. By the 1970s, managers realized keeping a giant team on the payroll from day one was draining their budgets before the actual coding even began. They needed a way to plan for dynamic staffing, a team size that naturally shifts and changes based on the specific tasks happening that month. This problem caught the attention of a researcher named Lawrence H. Putnam, who developed a solution during the 70s known as the Putnam Resource Allocation Model. Putnam based his model on the records of massive software projects from that era, tracking exactly how teams were organized from start to finish. He focused on resource allocation, which is how managers ensure the right people, like developers or testers, join the team only when there is actually work ready for them. Let's look at a chart. Across the bottom axis, we track project time in months, and up the side, the number of people. Putnam discovered this team growth isn't random. It follows a predictable, mappable shape. Early on, during planning and requirements, data points stay extremely low with few active people. But as heavy coding begins, team size rockets upward to the project's peak, requiring the maximum number of developers. As coding wraps up, developers move on. The staff drops sharply back down to a small testing crew. When you connect these points, they form a bell shape, a pattern mathematically called a Rayleigh curve. This curve acts as visual proof that a healthy software project breathes. The team size must naturally expand and contract to match the specific work happening in each phase. If you have studied software estimation before, you might be wondering how this compares to another famous method called COCOMO. On the left, COCOMO focuses on calculating a single total block of effort and cost for the entire job. On the right, the Putnam model distributes that effort, telling you exactly when to spend your budget across the timeline. Because the Putnam model relies on this specialized curve, it does require some heavy mathematics and highly accurate records of past projects to calculate correctly. To easily remember the core concepts of this model for your exams, you can use the name Putnam itself. P stands for planning resources, and U reminds us that it uses the Rayleigh curve. T is for time-based staffing, meaning the N, or number of developers, changes throughout the schedule. And finally, A and M stand for the allocation of resources and the management of effort. Building a successful piece of software takes intense coordination. By mapping out exactly how human effort flows over time, you can bring the right people in at the exact right moment to match the project's natural momentum.